Madam Secretary, thank you so much for joining Fox and Friends. We appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for being here.
As you know, there's a big vote in the U.S. Senate about the president's emergency declaration on building the border wall. Your take on where that sits right now?
I think it's a moving target. I know what I have been talking to members of Congress about, which is, in my mind, it boils down. It can be complicated at first blush, but it really boils down to two questions. Does the president have authority to declare an emergency? He does. It's statutory authority that Congress gave him in a law. And secondly, is there an emergency? And I could certainly talk to you and anyone who's willing to listen about how that is a definitive and resounding yes.
This administration putting a focus on the border, yet we're seeing apprehensions go up. Why is that happening?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you boil it down, it's Congress, courts, and criminals. The criminals have found a way to take advantage of the situation. They're trafficking, smuggling, they're preying on the migrants, but they're also selling them a bill of goods. We've had some unfortunate court decisions. They clearly did not understand either the authorities in some cases, but more importantly, the operational effects of the security concerns. And then three, Congress continues to fail to act. This is not a partisan issue. It's not partisan to want to protect communities. It's not partisan to want to secure our border. It's not partisan to want to secure our homeland. And yet, in this environment, Congress refuses to act.
Recently, you took a lot of tough questions from mostly from the left side of the aisle. Your critics of the approach of this administration, what are they getting wrong about how you're approaching border security and things like family separation? They keep talking about cages. What are they missing in your approach?
Well, two things. One, I would say we're a law enforcement agency, so we enforce the law. You know, I've said it before, but I really fear for our democracy when the body who creates the laws is telling the body who enforces the law, just don't enforce the law. If they don't like the law, they should change it. But the men and women at the Department of Homeland Security have sworn an oath to protect communities, to secure the homeland, and to enforce the law that Congress passed. The second one is there's just a lot of misunderstanding. Many of the policies and the ways in which CBP has been protecting our community for decades are the same. They're just suddenly now political and partisan. But these are the professionals who've done this for 20, 30 years, oftentimes at risk to their own lives. This is what they say we need to do to protect the border.
Madam Secretary, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for being
Appreciate
here.
it. We look forward to
Really
taking a tour with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Pete, great interview, but this is clearly a full court press by the administration to get as many Republican senators later today to vote against the resolution of disapproval.
They're trying to make it a zero-sum vote.
Right.
If you vote against this, forget about the precedence argument or the idiosyncrasies about Senate procedure. Either you're with the president on border security, you want that wall, period, or you're voting against it. And the point they make is, good luck going back to your district or your state as a Republican senator in this Trump era.
To explain that.
To explain the fact that you voted against the president trying to build the wall that he said he would bring. A lot of pressure. Well, I know the vote, a lot of people think it will go against the president. We shall see how it actually unfolds today, because that's a tougher vote for some senators to take.
And the thing that I hate most about what's going on with Kirstjen Nielsen, they treat her with such disrespect on the Hill. When the message he carries is just what's going on at the border. She hits him with numbers. They hit her with personal attacks.
Spite. I mean, you watch the testimony against her. It's dripping with condescension. They're angry, and they take every bit of hate they have about the Trump administration on her.
Well, remember
she
when
handled herself very well.
Remember when they had that meeting and Nancy Pelosi and all of the Democratic leaders were interrupting her when she was trying to explain all the numbers and why.
Well, they don't want to hear the facts. I mean, and I asked her that as well off camera. How many folks are coming to actually watch what happens or see this training facility? Very few, unfortunately, from the left.
And if you say kids with cages, it started with President Obama. These are kids in facilities who come across the border, and they can only stay there for 20 years.